Merry meet! So in this Yule video I'm looking at evergreens. So this time of the year we bring them in, whether it's our Yule tree, whether it's our garlands, whether it's our wreaths. I've got my wreath here that I made. We'll be looking at that later on. Why do we do this? Why are we bringing them in? It's helping us to keep our connection with Gaia, with that Gaia energy. When we're forced more and more indoors, keeping that energy with us. If we think of evergreens, especially to our ancestors, they represented life, they represented rebirth, renewal. And again, this is the symbolic meaning, this is the energy that we can have, even on days when we're feeling at our most tired. And as the nights are drawing in and it's getting darker and the weather's maybe deteriorating, getting harsher, and give us this renewal of energy. It's the green colour, isn't it? That growth, that fertility. So those of us on the pagan path, this is the energy that we're harnessing. So let's look at individual ones now, shall we? Let's start off with holly. Well, holly, Holly King is ruling at the moment. So it's really us bringing him inside, paying him honour. Our Holly King is really our sage. Where we have our crone with our goddess, with our God, he's the sage, he is wisdom, he's wise. So we are therefore honouring him when we bring holly in. If you think of the nature of holly, there's two things about it. One, it's sharp and prickly. The other one are the red berries. Let's do the sharp and prickly. We use holly for protection. We used to, for centuries, people would soak a holly leaf in water and then use that water to flick on a newborn. That when I perform a wickening, which is a little bit like a christening or a baptism, a naming ceremony if you like, that is something that I do. So that is for protection. So therefore when we're using holly indoors, in spells, we can use that protection. We can make a water spritz out of it. We can spritz objects, we can spritz ourselves with them for protection. When we have it in our altar, if you are doing any form of protection or balancing, because again with all evergreens, they're bringing balance. Again, you can use holly. Now, I've just said what holly governs with the green, thinking of the protection. If we look at the red really is, it's symbolic of a woman's menstrual cycle. So therefore it's also our emotions. So therefore we're linking it with the moon and we're linking it with fertility. So again, for fertility, we can use the red berries. If you take 3 red berries representing our 3 stages, whether it's maiden, mother or crone, or warrior, father, sage, take 3 red berries, throw them into running water and make your fertility wish and let the energies take it. Because then we're also, by doing that, we're really using water magic. So we're giving it a double whammy if you like, because we're aligning that feminine energy, which we connect with the red part, with the red berries of holly. Who does holly belong to if you like? Well, there is a Norse goddess called Hol, who is the feminine spirit of woodlands and of plants. So therefore, holly really belongs to Hol. With her, we're looking at it representing, we're harnessing the energy, the connection, if you like, of happiness, of balance, and of opportunities. So now I think you can really see, it's opened your eyes a little bit to how you can use holly. Okay, now let's look at ivy. So if I look at my wreath here, I don't know, hold it up to the camera, this way, that way, hold it up to the camera. I've intertwined ivy into my wreath. Okay, so what does ivy represent? Think of the nature. It's like when we're doing kitchen witchery. Think of how the natural Gaia energy behaves, and then you can understand how you're going to use it for a magical intent. What does ivy do? Ivy clings, ivy intertwines, ivy binds. So therefore, ivy can be used in a spell, in your wreath when you're making it, if you put it in on your Yule log to decorate, to bind your intention, also to bind the energies of the other things that are being incorporated. So it's, if you was doing not magic and you was using ivy and that's what you're using for your knot magic, it's giving it an extra whammy because you're binding it through. By itself, without the interwoven implications of ivy, ivy represents abundance, because what does ivy do? It spreads. I always think, you know, if we had a zombie apocalypse, mint and ivy would just take over the world in hours probably. So therefore it's abundance. It also keeps out negative energy. When you think when a garden has been left for a little while, especially if ivy creeps on a wall, it covers everything, doesn't it? It makes its own protective wall around it. Okay, so again, it's keeping out any negative energy. So therefore it's also protecting us. It's healing, attraction, giving us lots and lots of opportunities. These are all of the energies that we are bringing in when we are using ivy. So this time of year, really use it in your spell weaving. Now the next thing I want to look at are pine cones. So I've got pine cones. I'm going to pick this up because if I keep picking up the lot, I think something's going to drop off of it. So if we look, I've put pine cone. Oh, where's the camera? Where's the camera? I've put pine cones here. I don't know if you can see that on my wreath. There we go. There, I've got it. I've put pine cones, different types of pine cones that I've collected during the year when they've fallen naturally to the ground. Always naturally when they fall to the ground. Remember, whenever you bring something home with you that you've foraged and found, you always leave a gratitude. You always leave an offering to the forest energy. So let's get to pine. Well, pine, we've really seen how holly and ivy are very much our feminine energy, whereas with pine it's the time for the guys. It's masculine air energy. It's the air element. Think of pine trees. There's longevity. They don't die. They really are the epitome of an evergreen, aren't they, when we bring them in as our Yule trees. And the pine cone itself, it's a seed, isn't it? So therefore it is longevity. It's life-giving energy. So if you're performing any spells with an air element, use pine. Now the other thing that I've used in my I've got it here. The other thing that I have used, and you'll see here, I've used dried oranges. Now on my newsletter I did explain the easiest way to dry an orange, because lots of people, especially if you are new to drying these things, it can be a little bit awkward because you think, oh, it's taken forever to dry, or they burn. Basically, don't use fresh oranges to start with. Let them become really, really firm. It's easier to cut, and also they're not going to be so wet and gorgeous and juicy, and we don't really want that if we're drying them. Then try and cut them as thin, quite thin, but so they're even. Then place on a baking tray. If you have a baking tray that's got holes in it, like if it's one for pizzas, that's great, the air can circulate. Place it on baking parchment or greaseproof paper. Put it on the lowest possible setting that your oven will go on, and leave it. I'm saying leave it. After it's been an hour, keep an eye on it. If you have got any that are slightly thinner, they're going to get cooked, dried out quicker, so just take them off. Okay, so I went off a bit of a tangent there, didn't I? So why do we dry orange at this time? At Mabon we dry apples and we use apples, and at Samhain. But when it comes to Yule, it's oranges. Why? An orange is round, it's orange. An orange represents the sun, and this is what we are looking about at the moment. When we make our Kris Kringles, which actually it's pagan, not Christian, just saying that, at my Yule moot we will make those. We use a whole orange. We've literally got the sun in our hand, and that is the sun energy. The colour orange, it's confidence, it's friendship, it's happiness. The sun itself, it's creation, it's our passion. My goodness, of course we want to bring that in as well in our wreaths and different things. So the next thing we're going to look at is mistletoe. So as I said, now I want to look at mistletoe. Now mistletoe, we've already seen it belongs to Hol, and I said that Hol is also sometimes thought to be the goddess Frigg, who is Odin's wife. And as I've said before in these videos, at this time of year when we're looking at Yule, I really feel we are looking at our Norse again. So therefore, if we take Frigg had a son called Balder who she loved more than anything else. It's a very long story, and it's one that I'm going to include on my Norse Gods and Goddesses evenings, which I'm going to be doing in February. So if you'd like to come along to that, message me. If you'd like me to send you the video and the handouts of it, again, message me and I'll give you all of the details. But basically, her son died, and the only thing that could kill him was mistletoe. So when he died through being shot with an arrow through mistletoe, her tears, when they went on the leaves of the mistletoe, her tears became the white berries. So therefore, the white berries of mistletoe are protection for those we love, especially for children, right? So that is the way magically that we can use them. For the Celts, they represented peace, and if different clans had been fighting, if an agreement was being made, they made that underneath mistletoe, and then they would embrace. And from that today we bring mistletoe and we kiss under mistletoe. For us pagans, we believe that if you kiss under mistletoe, then your love will last. Isn't that wonderful? So therefore, as I've said, when we're bringing it in, it's very much, it's protection, but it's to protect love. To keep love constant is protection, especially for our children. It's also helping to bring balance and to bring peace. So those are the ways that you can use mistletoe. So I hope that you've enjoyed that. I'm going to be doing another one, or it could be that you've already seen that, looking at ideas for your altar. So merry meet, blessed be.